Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to be talking about the Viltrox 56mm f1.4 and how do I feel about it compared to the Fuji. Let's get into it. It's good to have you guys back. It's been a while. I know you've been waiting for this video. So if there's something really that you want to see, there's a table of content down in the description box. Check that out. I've labeled everything that we're going to be talking about. First thing we're going to talk about today is my first impressions. Now, I've had this lens from the beginning of October, which means around 6 weeks now. So I'm recording this video today. What's the date today? Today is the 16th of November, so mid-November. Yeah, about approximately 6 weeks. What I thought I would do, which would be very authentic, is vlog my experience when I first used this lens. So we're going to cut to a vlog just for a couple of minutes just to show you guys what my initial impressions when using this lens. Alright, so it's about 9 in the morning on a Saturday. I'll try and do a bit of street photography. I've had it for about 5 days now. What's your initial impressions on the lens?
I like it. It's nice and compact compared to the kind of Fuji 56.
Yeah.
And I mean, the results look pretty good.
Pretty good. My street photography game has been a bit weak lately, so I'm trying to rectify that because I don't want to blame that on the lens, but the compactness is making me take it around a lot more than I usually would, so that's quite a good sign.
It's a very sneaky lens.
Sneaky deaky. Alright, first thing first, I think I have to say is that this lens is definitely a lot nicer in continuous autofocus. Continuous autofocus on the 56 1.2 was just not reliable. However, on this, I feel like it's, I can't quantify it, but I'll say about 20 to 30% better. I'm able to lock on to focus, and if the subject moves or whatever, it won't start trying to hunt and be sporadic. And yeah, right behind me we have the Apple store, and man, it's where I used to work. I really miss that place, miss those guys. Okay, slight problem. I don't have the right ND filter for this lens. This is a 53mm filter thread, I believe. Just 1 second. Alright, so what do we have here? Sorry, 52mm filter thread. So I have like 54 and all the other types, but not a 52. Interesting. So I have a lot of time to kill. It's the first time in a very long time that I've got time to kill. So here's what we're going to do. This is a plan, right? So I'm going to go walk back to central London, which is probably going to take me about half an hour to 45 minutes. Buy myself an ND filter for this. Then we can try and do some juicy filming. And then that way, more time with street photography, better B-roll potentially. And I'll try and do some different locations, see how it all works out. Alright guys, unfortunately the camera store did not have variable ND filter at 52mm threads. So we have two choices. Either I just crank up the shutter speed and go for it, or I wait till nighttime. Bruh, even Park's camera doesn't have a 52mm ND filter. The first thing that I probably encountered was not having the right ND filter size. Now I had pretty much all the ND filter sizes that you can imagine. However, I could not find one. I went to Camera World, Park's cameras. I walked all over trying to find the right filter thread size, and I couldn't find it. Now, if you're someone that already owns various Viltrox lenses, I believe that the filter thread size is consistent amongst all the primes. So if you have one, it's not really a big issue. However, for myself, I found that it was a real life situation. Maybe you're someone that was out on a shoot, you lost your ND filter, maybe you broke yours, or whatever it might be. You will be looking for an ND filter for this lens, and you might need to order one in advance. So bear that in mind. Despite not being able to find an ND filter, I said, fuck it, we're gonna film anyway. So this is what I managed to do with this lens. So there's a little video sequence just using the Viltrox 56 1.4 by itself. And I have to say, I quite enjoyed it. It was fairly lightweight, really easy to use. I'm still a bit 50-50 about the aperturing, but hey, it wasn't something that moves out of the way. It's not like the Mitakon where I really found that it kept moving out of place if I left it in my camera bag or whatever it might be. Overall for video, I quite enjoyed it, and I have updated my Fujifilm X-T3 to firmware 4.0, and I have to say that, yeah, still pretty damn good. Definitely better than the 56 1.2. It's a bit more confident when it latches on. So yeah, overall, thumbs up from me. By the way, everything that I'm comparing this lens to is the original Fujifilm 56 1.2. So if I'm saying it has good autofocus, doesn't mean it has the best autofocus ever. It's just better than the Fujifilm 56 1.2. And now that leads us to the fun part of the video, and that's how does this lens compare to the Fujifilm 56mm f1.2? And as you can see already, perhaps hopefully you can see that this lens is quite less chunky compared to Fujifilm's, which is a really good thing for street photography. I'm gonna put a little bit of footage right here to show you what it looks like on the scales right now. So you can see that it's significantly lighter than the 56 by Fuji. And why is that important? Why is it important coming from me? Well, I've made 2 videos on the Fujifilm 56 1.2, and they are my best performing videos. And a lot of people come asking me about this lens. So I feel like I have a lot of legitimacy talking about this lens and its strong points and its weak points. So overall, Fujifilm's 56 1.2 is my absolute favorite lens. I can definitely say that now. It's been quite a while that I've had this lens, and I use it for pretty much everything except for vlogging, obviously, because it just wouldn't make sense. Now, the Viltrox came at a very unique time because I was actually eyeing up the Fujifilm 50mm f2. Now, you might be wondering, why would you? You just said that this lens here, the 56, is the best lens, your favorite lens, blah, 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 blah. You praised it so much. Well, you see, when doing street photography, I just felt like maybe it's time to switch things up. Maybe it's time to go from one of the f2 models, purely because size kind of doesn't matter when you're doing street photography. Having the accessibility and being able to bring the camera out more in a bit more of a tight situation can sometimes be beneficial and can lead me to having more different kinds of shots. Now, I went to a camera store to actually try out this lens, and unfortunately I just did not like it. It just felt like a 35mm f2 but with a slightly longer focal length. And just to put it out there, I've done a video on the 35mm f2 and I love that lens. It's just, I didn't want to have a repeat of that lens. This, however, might not be weather sealed, but it packs in what I was looking for. It packs in that compactness. Hey, it's definitely about 20% faster. Although I wouldn't say it's faster when acquiring focus, because when it tries to focus, it's just quiet and it still takes pretty much the same amount of time. It's just more confident. That's what it is. You're getting a much more confident lens. It fills in that void where I really wanted to have great subject isolation, and at 1.4, it's a lot better than f2. Now, professionally speaking, f1.2 it's just one little touch more. And does that really matter to me? Yes, because I can feel the difference. And for someone that used the 56 1.2 nearly every single day for professional work, I can definitely feel that f1.4, it's not giving me the same subject isolation that I used to get. But for street photography, does it really matter? Not really, because you're making up for that with better autofocus. And as you're probably watching this video, you will be seeing all the photos I have taken with this lens. And I have to say, I am very proud of the photos I've managed to capture with this lens. I feel like some of them I wouldn't probably get because I feel like the Fuji 56mm f1.2 would have probably let me down on the continuous autofocus if I would have tried to get these shots. Although if I went with the Fuji, I probably would have gotten better subject isolation. However, does it really matter in street photography? I mean, it's all about the focal length, which produces lens compression as well, right? So it's not always about the aperture. I think 1.4 is really good for night photography, still really good. So overall, I'm loving it, and we're definitely going to keep this because Chloe and I, we've always been discussing that we want to have the same 56mm because we both love using it. And I've always been slightly against it because I felt like it was a bit silly having the same lens twice. But now that this has arrived, I feel like we can both have one on the shoot together, which is amazing. Hey, Future Hvris here. Sorry to butt in, but I forgot to mention something super important. On the Viltrox, the minimum focus distance is 60cm as opposed to 70cm on the Fuji. Now that is 10cm difference, which makes a huge difference. For example, I'm actually able to capture photos just like this, and I wouldn't even consider taking photos like this with the Fuji 56mm. So super important. I forgot to mention it throughout the whole video, but it is a game changer and it is something worth considering. So yeah, just want to let you guys know. Now, I have been using this lens professionally, and it's been quite tough, as you know, with the consistent lockdowns. However, Bang & Olufsen and I have teamed up. I'm now officially an ambassador. So a huge thank you to you guys, because it wouldn't be possible without you guys. I wouldn't have this YouTube channel, which wouldn't allow me to express myself with my photography and video. So I really appreciate it. If it wasn't for the support that you've given on this channel, this opportunity probably wouldn't have happened. Now, I have been testing out and taking photos of the Beoplay E8 wireless headphones, and I don't tend to use these earbuds considering my left ear is actually artificial, so I can't really put stuff in here, so no one on here would probably know that. However, I found real great use for them considering me and Chloe going out for shoots together. So I could probably put one in my ear and put one in her ear, and we can listen to our favorite albums together. The battery life is great. I really enjoy using them. If you are looking for a banging piece of headphones, I'll leave a link in the description box down below. If you purchase it, no extra charge to you, but it will support this channel. And thank you so much once again. I used to sell their products when I used to work in retail. I wear their headphones on a daily, so it just makes a perfect fit, and so, I'm just really grateful for it. Also, tell me your thoughts on the photos down below. I want to give them a different feel, a bit more of a street London feel, considering I am a content creator from London and I do use their products regularly, so this is a real world case for their products. Overall, let's wrap up the video. What is my final conclusion on the Viltrox 56 f1.4? I feel like I keep saying 56 f1.4 every single sentence in this video, and it's been quite a tongue twister, but I feel like I have to do it just for clarity purposes, because I am talking about the same lens almost, just two different brands. Let's start off with the pros. It's a lot lighter, better autofocus, much cheaper. I'm gonna leave the price right here. So what about the cons? Not weather sealed, but was the other one weather sealed? No. What else? The clickless aperture ring. Now, I still don't like it. The other Viltrox lens which I've reviewed was the 85mm f1.8, and it pissed me off. So, I mean, this one is a lot better, don't get me wrong. I can live with the clickless aperture ring on this one. However, if I'm going to use a clickless one, I expect the exposure to not be stepping as it's kind of rotating. Because if I'm going to use a clickless one, I would love for the exposure to be a gradual shift, but unfortunately it's not. So I'm going to have to put that in the cons. And it's an awkward filter thread size, which you could obviously get around that if you're someone who's invested in the Viltrox Prime trilogy or set of lenses. You will be absolutely fine because you have done your homework. You would have got the right filter thread size already, so it wouldn't be an issue. However, for someone like me, it was quite an inconvenience, and I do have to express that because it was a real world thing that happened. So overall, what are your thoughts? How did you find this lens? If you've watched my other 56mm videos, how did the photos compare? Because obviously I feel like this lens gives me a distinct kind of style with my way of shooting. Did you find that I was able to amplify and achieve better photos, or was it just the same old? And it'll be interesting to hear that, because if it's the same old, then the lens doesn't really matter. If you feel like the lens has contributed to me getting more kind of confident shots, then hey, that's only a good thing. But then again, it could just be me developing and progressing my style. So it'll be interesting to hear your thoughts. Also, quick side note, I do have a print store on my website, so if you do love the shots that you see on this video, some of them will be up for sale, and I would love for it if you would pick one up. Also, I will be uploading the raw files that you have seen in this video. They will probably come next week, as I am planning to release a blog as well. So follow me on Instagram to check when that will be available. Again, sorry for the delay. It's just been one of those things this year. 2020 has been a bit of a tricky one, and yeah, a bit of a mad thing. But yeah, overall, thank you again for the love and support. I will see you next time. Hopefully we'll have some other juicy content to share with you. Goodbye.